All right, welcome back to Game On, your number one podcast for all things Premier League. And we're here, to talk about the hot topics, the games, the teams, the excitement. You want to stick around because this particular show today is going to be absolutely amazing. But of course, I'm not doing this show alone. I've got my men with me as always. First of all, I'm going to start with my brother all the way from the United States. Festus. How are you doing? How are you feeling after the weekend?
Um, Mixed feelings. The 1-1 draw with Fulham was a very bad day. In fact, it knocked me out all through the weekend. But our win against Monaco brightened the week kind of. I'm still hanging in there. I believe there's still hope with the Premiership. But hey, guys, you're welcome to the show. And always it's always good to have you guys follow us and give your comments, and we know we're going to have a lovely time talking football today. I see Femi smiling.
Yeah, Femi is smiling. Listen, a win always brighten up the mood, right? Especially if you're an Arsenal fan. But Femi, how's the water tasting where you are right now?
Hey, it's tasting really, really, really sweet. It's like there's honey in it. Saka can't stop scoring or assisting. He's played 21 games this season, 9 goals, 12 assists. That's either a goal or assist, a goal involvement and he doesn't play 90 minutes all the time, does he? So it's just amazing that we've got a player who's gone up a notch and it's just special.
There's a
I
reason it's
mean,
called the Star Boy.
there's an absolute reason, that Pepe them gang, right? He's got Pepe and Star to his name. I mean, no disrespect to Jesus, had a few chances, even Odegaard, but you just know Saka is very, very, very clinical. That's why you have to rate goal scorers. The hardest thing to do in football is put the ball in the back of the net. But he sniffs a chance around the box, the boy gets everybody smiling and happy. So yes, Eddie, the water is tasting like it's Fanta in my area here.
Absolutely. Always nice to talk about that. And listen, Saka is doing incredible things. We're going to touch on that game in a second. But guys, let's go straight into our predictions for the weekend. Last weekend there were some shock results. We're talking about what's going on in Man City, what's going on in Manchester, literally, on that side of the country. But we'll be starting off with that game. It's the big one, right? Manchester United against Manchester City. Manchester United are just going through a run of form right now that has not yet benefited from the new manager bounce. We were expecting with Amorim coming in, they would at least be in the honeymoon period for at least a couple of games, right, before they start to unravel. Now they play Man City, who cannot seem to buy a win. I almost feel like very dirty saying that Man City cannot buy a win. That's almost like, an abomination. I'm going to start with you, Face, on this one. Manchester Derby, how do you see this going? Who do you think is going to come out on top in this game? Face, your mute.
Hey, sorry about that. Unlike other years, basically, when you talk about this derby, it's tempting for you to say, hey, one-way traffic. Definitely, we know City, we have the day. But remember, this derby is always interesting. Even when glorious days of City, when they are flying so high and Man U is wobbling, the derby is always tricky. Sometimes you never can tell what happens. But the derby is always, and sometimes it comes with shock results. We've seen it even the FA Cup last season is a case in hand where Man U beats City. So sometimes you don't know what will happen. And I think in this case, this is even a clear picture of we don't know what will happen. Man U is not settled. The coach is new, trying to work his magic, trying to get his players to, start playing the way he wants, the kind of free-flowing football, trying to understand the players, trying to create a kind of synergy between him and the players. And you have a City, on the other hand, that is seriously in crisis. Now, before we were wondering if it was just one of those, period, but now clearly we all know that City is in crisis. There is no telling that. I think it's 10 games, 1 win, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This is a woeful. In fact, a lot of coaches will get sacked for these kind of results. Luckily for him, Pep, he has this pedigree. He has won so much for them. That is why I believe he still has a job. And for the father, he just recently renewed. Okay, but aside that, I want to also give you, I will always present some historical perspective of each team playing. Now, when you're talking of this rivalry, these are old teams, often referred to as the Manchester Derby. It's one of the most iconic and fiercely contested fixture in English football. Let me give you some historical background of what has happened over time. Their first meeting was in November 3, 1894. Then Manchester United was called the Newton Heat, while Man City was called Hardwick or something. They met in the Division 2. I think Man U won 5-2 then. So if you look at both teams, their biggest wins also over the years, City has beaten Man U. I think the biggest win was the 6-1 win in October 23rd, 2011. And the first time they met in the Premier League derby was in 1992, where Manchester won 2-1. Their head-to-head, if you look at the head-to-head in recent time, especially in the last 5 games, City has trumped. They've won 4 times, Man U has won 1. And bookmakers are actually giving City 62% chance. Whatever they are thinking, I don't know. And the Man U 18%, and they're giving a draw of 20%. Coming back to the players and the form, City is in a woeful form. They can't stop conceding, and they consistently goes. Everybody's beating them. In fact, the confidence when you're playing City is so high that everybody goes in, both at Etihad or any other place, and you have this belief that I can beat City. So I think Amorim will do that also. I think Man U knows that this is the best time to play City, and I think at this point, they think they can get something from this game. But because City is playing at home, I want to believe that this match will end a draw. So I'm giving this match a 2-2 draw.
I mean, it's almost sacrilege to even be mentioning Sack and Pep in the same sentence, right? Femi, is this the kind of game that fixes all problems, for Manchester City or Manchester United? How do you see this one going?
Well, if you think of the word problem, you're going to think about Man City right now. And United, the manager said there was always going to be a storm. Well, the storm has come quicker than he expected, isn't it? So I know they turned things around in the Europa League and won 2-1, but they've not been firing on all cylinders in the Premier League. The one thing he has going for him, though, even though his players are not of the highest quality at the minute, the only notable absentee is, Luke Shaw. So he's got a fully fit squad, so he can really, really rotate players if they're not doing very well. If you then turn that around and look at what Pep has got, when you say, is this the kind of thing, game that will solve problems? This is not going to solve Pep's problems because Pep has a lot of problems. Rukulus is suspended for this game. Akaji has a foot problem. He's got a knock. John Stones has a foot problem as well. Nathan Ake has a hamstring injury that they don't know when he's going to be back. We all know Oscar Bob is not going to play for a long time to come. Rodri is absolutely out for the season. So when you're looking at, and a lot of good players are out of form. Phil Foden was the player of the year. He was the was the sports writers player of the year as well, wasn't he? And he's not anywhere near the Foden that we know. So again, there's a lot of replacements there. Matheus Nunes, even Doku. They're all just Savio, who was meant to come in and do a great job. They're all just threatening and they're not doing much. Haaland, of all people, can't see the back of the net consistently now. So I don't think this game is going to take away Pep's problems, because United will be absolutely keen to win this one, to pile on the misery on their neighbors. They call them their noisy neighbors. So, so let's get this understanding straight. I don't think this match is going to solve Pep's problem. That's just the reality. I think
And what's your prediction?
I think Man City are going to lose this, frankly, because United have a very solid team.
That's a big call.
It's
lose at Etihad.
That's a big call.
Look, Feyenoord went there and drew 3-3. Man City lost 4-0 to Tottenham in that same stadium. So are you telling me that United, who are just their neighbors, traveling less than 5 miles down the road to them, will not be able to do them damage? I'm calling this for United, because
Tottenham is kind of City's bogey team, even when they're in top form.
And United and City, I agree with you, but United and City are neighbors, and United, even though they've not been doing so well against City of late, this is one big opportunity. They've got a fully fit squad, basically, because the only person out there is Luke Shaw. So if you've got a team that you can turn players around, if one person is not performing, you've got a chance. So I'm going with a United win. In fact, I'm going to make an emphatic 3-1 for Man United in this game.
That's a big call. Listen, these two teams are riding on nothing short of low confidence, poor performances, from the teams. I think that both teams are going to rise up for this game. I think you don't need anybody to, motivate the players. It's a derby. Manchester United always rise up for this game. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw in this game. I think that there's points to be shared. So going the same way as FaZe. Okay, guys, let's go into our next game. We're going to talk about Arsenal. Arsenal versus Everton, right? Arsenal have, been on a good form of late, but Fulham will be seen as a bad result considering what Arsenal is trying to go for this season. I'm going to start with you, Femi, right? Everton coming into Arsenal. Everton scores the same amount of set pieces as Arsenal. How do you see this game going? How important is this game for Arsenal in the title race?
Well, it's always going to be important. Any game, whatever you're playing, if you're in a title race, whether it's a team bottom of the league or a team that is just scraping about the relegation zone, or if you're playing your direct title rival. So 3 points at stake. And that's why you talked about Fulham being a problem. Arsenal not picking up all 3 points. We all thought Saka's goal would stand, but by the tiniest of margins, Martinelli was offside in the build-up. So I know Everton are a decent team, but at the Emirates, with the way Arsenal are playing at the minute, having dispatched Monaco in midweek, I mean, could have scored 7 or 8 goals, honestly. That could have ended 8-2 or 9-1 or something. If they find their scoring boots, which I expect them to do, I expect Arsenal to win this. It's not always going to be easy because there are no easy games in the Premier League. They don't serve you points for turning up in the Premier League. You've got to earn the right to play. And one thing you cannot accuse these Arsenal boys of doing is not earning that right. And that's the first thing you want. They've got that industry. And if you've got the industry, then the next is quality. Can your quality shine through in the end? There is every assurance that the quality will shine through. So I think it's not a problem for Arsenal, this one. They need to get their back to winning games in the Premier League. And if you look at the fixtures that Arsenal have in the Premier League coming up, they're in and around the capital for the next 10 odd games, Go Crystal Palace, Ipswich is at home as well after that one. So if you look at all the games, really over the next 10 games, they're going to Brentford. It's up until January or so. Arsenal they're in London. So it's an opportunity for them to prepare. And there's no Champions League games midweek like we had previously as well. So the longest drive for them is actually down to Brighton. So I think the squad will be ready. They'll be fighting, and I expect them to beat Everton. I expect it to be comfortable as well because of the firepower of that front line, especially with Saka fit at the minute and Odegaard pulling the strings. So Eddie, I'm going to say not always easy in the Premier League, but this should be a comfortable 2-0 victory for us now. If they top it up with one extra, like against Monaco, will be even better, isn't it? So, but I'll say a 2-0 victory, Eddie.
So Faith, Everton had an amazing result against Wolves where they scored 4 goals. And, they'll be coming into this game to play spoilers. And Arsenal are really struggling to find fit players in their defense. Do you think that Everton are capable of taking advantage of the gaps that are happening in Arsenal defense with the players? I mean, over the week we had to play Lewis Kelly, on that left-hand side, because Euron Timber were trying to manage his minutes. So what do you think is going to happen in that game, and what's your prediction?
I think they are going to get whooped. So
Gonna get a whooping.
Can you imagine? He's not even sparing them at all.
no, no,
A
no, no.
whooping.
All you've said is just tales by moonlight. Nothing will happen. Everton is not that that kind of threat. I don't see them, especially at the Emirates. Um, I don't see them. I was listening during the Monaco match. I was listening to the commentary, and they were giving a bit of historical background of Arsenal at the Emirates. And I was shocked that the last time we lost to any team at the Emirates was Aston Villa. And that was like last year, right? Or last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So that tells you how long, how strong we are at the Emirates. So despite how ravaged we are in terms of injuries, despite even loss of form, we are not easy to yeah, we are not easy. We are not that that kind of team that that easily loses at the Emirates. And I don't see Everton posing that kind of threat. If even when you compare the history between both clubs, and you go back memory lane, and even at in recent times, you find out that there is no way, there is no how you could make room for Everton to actually get a win at the Emirates, or get some a decent result. Even if you look at the history, between 1996 to 2021. They never won at the Emirates. They were whooped and they were beaten, and scandalously. The first time they broke that course in a very long time was in 2021, April 23, when a Lenos Ben Lenos own goal led to them winning at the Emirates when they broke that course. They've always been losing at the Emirates, and they consistently lose with high margins. So even when you look at our largest victory against them, which was in 2005, far away at the Highbury, when we're still at the Highbury, we beat them 7-0. So it's for me, I see it also being a high margin scoreline, because like Femi said, the firepower will overwhelm them. I think I don't see them trying to match us in any way. I see them trying to lock up, trying to defend deep. And because of the kind of firepower we have, Saka blazing, Odegaard pulling those strings, Martinelli likely coming from the left, and everybody at the, that's top area of the field. I think we overwhelm them. And even the bookmakers agrees with me. It's overwhelmingly in Arsenal favor. We have a 78% for Arsenal to win this, and a 7% given to Everton, and a draw 15%. So, and if you look at the head-to-head in recent last 5 games we played with Everton, we've beaten them 4 times. They've only beaten us once, and which was the 2021 win they had against us. So, if you look at all these factors, put everything together, I also see a comfortable win for us now. And for me, I'm predicting a 3-0 scoreline for this.
3-0 scoreline to the Arsenal. Femi, where do you see this match being won or lost?
Well, we talked about it anyway, and I think again, Arsenal are going to win 2-0, but the key battle is going to be up front, because Everton have a strong goalkeeper, don't they? If you look at the Arsenal team, we've got a great attacking lineup, especially with Saka ready to do damage anytime. So that battle is more in the attacking lines because Everton have some really strong defenders. I know Michael Keane has got a bit of an injury at the minute, but Gerard Braithwaite is very reliable for them. Tarkowski is an international defender as well. Ashley Old is getting younger all the time. We don't know what his real age is. He's even scoring free kicks now. So ultimately, I'll probably say the battle is more in the front line for Arsenal. Defensively, we're a solid unit. In the midfield as well, we've got great midfielders. So I don't have a problem there. Can we score goals is what the question is. And I think we can score goals. Everything can lay a glove on us, only from set pieces. But if you don't let them run past you, and they can't pass the ball properly as well, as you can tell. So I don't see a huge problem there. What I do know, though, is Arsenal need to manage them properly. Be patient in the build-up and don't give the ball away. Eventually, the chances will come. You got Saka who can take anybody on one-on-one, and you got other guy who can slip it through as well. So I think the battle is more on the front line for Arsenal, and the midfield will be very powerful enough to get Arsenal the 3 points with a 2-0, reasonably 2-0 victory, Eddie.
2-0 victory to the Arsenal. I think it's a clean sweep here. I'm also going for a 2-0 victory to Arsenal. Everton are terrible away from home. Their form is not the greatest, and it's at the Emirates, and I fully expect Arsenal to be free following. I know they have problems at the back, but I think once you have Odegaard in the team and you've got Saka, who I think we have to start talking about him as being the player of the season, right? I think last season, honestly, I was
Eddie, I
very,
think
very
Mo Salah would have something to say about that, leading Liverpool to the top of the Premier League and the Champions League with 6 wins out of 6.
uh,
Yes, they're very similar in terms of their
You could say
contributions, but
that, but the argument could be that Mo Salah is, playing for a contract, right? So, but anyway, um, let's keep it on the predictions, right? But for me, I think Saka should be up there. They should start talking about him, right? Okay, our final game of the prediction: Chelsea versus Brentford. Brentford right now look like Real Madrid at home, but they look like Brentford away from home, if that makes any sense. Chelsea are playing Brentford right now, and Chelsea is sneaking into the title conversation right now. Femi, I'm going to start with you. Chelsea are right now second in the league table. I don't think anybody expected that. And they are clearly in the title race. So, is this going to be a formality for Chelsea to state their claim in the title race?
well, they've already told you they've got a stake in this, and they're not going to go away easily. Ordinarily, you can expect teams to flatter to deceive. We've seen a lot of teams do it, but this Chelsea team look like the real deal because of one player, and that's the ice cold, very calm. I don't think there's anyone calmer than Palmer at the minute, to be fair. So he knows where the back of the net is. He is a magnet to the ball. He can slip a pass through. He can take a free kick, which is what we're expecting Saka to add to his game. He can take a penalty. He can do anything, that kid. He can score from any angle on the pitch. So if he continues to be fit and well, then he's not going away because we've seen him super consistent, just like Saka. I think that's the difference between him, Saka, and of course Phil Foden, who hasn't hit that same level as of last season that he hit over the last few seasons and last season as well. So he's not going away, Cole Palmer. And the manager is no longer Pochettino. So this manager has really drilled that team into a very cohesive unit. I think they're 100% in the conversation for the title at the minute. Yes, Liverpool were also in the conversation last season, we all know, and then they fell away in March. But we don't know yet if they're going to fall away. One thing we know because of Arsenal's pedigree, Arsenal and the title race, we don't know Chelsea's pedigree because this is a new team. But given the results up until December, if you can navigate that early autumn and you're going into winter and you've got your noses close to the front or you're in front, then it's very difficult to say no to you. So with a third of the season gone, there's every chance that they're in the title race. So And I think at home against Brentford, like you said, Brentford look like Brentford playing away from home, isn't it? So I'm not sure they offer much at Stamford Bridge. Now they're both in West London. That's the one thing that I think may be in Brentford's favor in terms of if you go to your neighbors, naturally you don't want to get beaten by your very own neighbors. So I think Brentford have a chance because they're going to West London. It's only a few minutes drive from them. Probably 10, 15 minutes, honestly, from the GTEC to Stamford Bridge, with my knowledge of having lived in London for nearly 20 years. So I know 100% that Brentford may just turn up, but I don't think it'll be enough as well. So I'm going to call this a Chelsea victory, Eddie. Sadly, the goal scoring will continue. I think they're going to win 3-1 as well.
3-1 to Chelsea.
Just like the Man United Man City country prediction I told you. 3-1 to Man United, 3-1 to Chelsea.
So 3-1 to Chelsea. Chelsea have got playmakers all over their pitch. Enzo has, I think he's assisted about 7 goals right now in the last couple of games. Nicholas Jackson is also back among the goals. Cole Palmer doing Cole Palmer things. Does Brentford have any chance to get a result at the Stamford Bridge?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. And I'm unhappy about that. Because I would have loved a situation where Brentford has a chance to get a result. But with the form of Chelsea of late, man, Enzo is doing some magic with that team. I remember not long ago that team was the laughing stock, For a lot of people was wondering what was happening with them when they were buying everybody. In fact, I was even preparing my son to see if I can get their manager to come and look at him and see if they can sign him up, since they were buying all youngsters with braid and stuff. So that was how bad it was. And suddenly from nowhere, that team kicked off and they're playing beautiful football. They're scoring very well. They're already in the equation for the title race. You can't discount that. They are ticking all the right boxes. The manager is pulling the strings. They have cover in all departments, and injury has been fair to them. So it's like everything is going well for them. Like you mentioned, when you look at all the they are not even missing the likes of Reece James or even Fofana. When Fofana got injured, I said, oh, okay, this is it. And somehow everybody stepped up. So you could see the depth in that team. The squad has depth. They have quality depth. Almost in all departments, you have like 2, 3 replacements. So I don't see Brentford, despite the fact that this is a West London derby, they are close neighbors. Brentford also is not bad. They are doing well, playing very well. But I think Chelsea is too strong, and they will need this. Interestingly, Eddie, when you look at the last 5 matches they've played, historically, Brentford has edged it. Brentford has 3 wins. Chelsea has 0 wins. And they have 2 draws. So that tells you something that, well, there might be a chance based on if you're considering the historical perspective. But, from the firepowers and current form of Chelsea, I want to agree with the bookmakers also, who is giving Chelsea 73% chance of winning this. And they gave Brentford 12% chance and a draw 15%. I don't see Brentford strong enough to get a draw in this. So I'm going to give this to Chelsea, and I think this will end like a 2-0 win for Chelsea.
2-0 for Chelsea. Well, Brentford have the capability to turn up in big games. They've done it in the past. When they've played, bigger opposition, they always seem to have, their good performances for the likes of Manchester City. Remember, they went to the Etihad, a couple of years ago and inflicted a defeat to Manchester City. I think that Brentford is going to put up a fight. Chelsea do concede goals in this game, so I am going to actually go for a draw in this game. I think that Chelsea might just take their eye off the gas, just underestimate Brentford a little bit. And that might just allow Brentford, because Brentford right now, they're a team that are very dangerous. They are capable on their day of scoring goals, and we've seen them score, 3, 4 goals in a game. So I don't think goal scoring is their problem. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw on this one, because I think that Brentford can do some damage. Okay, that's it for our predictions for the week, guys. Our fantasy, time to put on our genius hats. Now we know what's going on in fantasy. I know Femi is going to start, talking about how amazing that he's been in his fantasy selections
Eddie,
and
you don't
all
need
of
to say it. I'm not going on a victory parade. I'm a very humble guy. I know I'm beating all of you, but
that.
I'm not going on a victory parade. Don't worry, it's fine.
So Femi, let's start with you. Fantasy. Who are the two people you need to have in your team, and who do you captain?
Honestly, too many candidates this week. Honestly, very many candidates. Very, very tempting candidates. But there's always the standout guy. Cole Palmer. I'll probably say you want Cole Palmer. He's playing at Stamford Bridge. He's just scoring goals for fun there. Even away from home, he's very reliable. So Cole Palmer takes the nod. And like I said, so many candidates. But when you look at Liverpool's game at home to Fulham, Fulham would not have a Nigerian defender available for them because he got a fifth yellow card of the season against Arsenal. So they'll be slightly depleted at the back. So I'm not trusting Fulham to go there and stop Liverpool in this current form. So maybe, of course, you want to make sure Mo Salah. I mean, Saka comes in with a mention. Isaac and Alexander Isak at home to Leicester comes in with a mention. There's quite a lot of options, honestly.
Two players.
But I'm going to say, of course, Salah and Cole Palmer. But Cole Palmer has the easier job, so you want to captain Cole Palmer, Eddie.
Um, Listen, for me, it doesn't go. I don't deviate from these two players, especially when they play at home, and when the opposition is doable. So for me, Saka is going to be in your team. Saka plays very well. He's on a good goal scoring form right now. He's scoring and assisting in every single game in his last, 5 games. So I expect him to continue to do that in a game against Everton. And then also you've got Cole Palmer. You've got to have Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer, it was between Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson, but I think Cole Palmer does the supply. He's always due for an assist and a goal. So it will be Cole Palmer and also Saka. But I'll be captaining Saka because, Saka at home is always, always dangerous. That's it on our fantasy teams. We're gonna have one more phase. Who are the two guys to have in your fantasy team, and who do you captain?
I want to bring back Haaland. I think Haaland is due to be back.
Can you afford him to
And
bring back?
yeah, I can't afford him. I've always created that space for him. So I think
So
I
okay, you
think
did. So you just left the money
no,
in the
no,
bank.
I moved him up, but I know who to take out because I have one major player that is not really performing. So I have to bring back Haaland because I know he's going to score against Man U. He loves scoring against Man U. And I'm looking at the other games they have after Man U. I think he's due to be back and it's time to bring him back. Because most of the strikers say, who is out there scoring consistently? You really don't have that much. So I want to bring him back then. Also, I see Saka will always be there as usual. So for me, I want to captain Saka for this match. I think he's in form and he loves scoring goals and he loves scoring against Everton. So I'll bring him Saka and Haaland and I'll captain Saka.
And that's a wrap, guys. It's been great. Please, as we always say, please like and subscribe on the channel. Let us know if you agree with us, if you agree with our predictions. I know we're Arsenal fans, but we try and keep it fairly, objective, in this podcast, to kind of tell you how things, go in the Premier League. But before we sign off, Femi, any last words?
Well, just to say, well done, guys, for sticking with us as always, coming here to enjoy what we do. You can see the beaming smile on our faces. We're just delighted to be the great Arsenal fans, but also delighted to be football fans all together. So, look, I'm no longer the youngest of guys, and I'm in love with the game. And I know you are. That's why you're here as well. So, enjoy what the weekend is going to look like for you. I hope it's a great one. whoever you're supporting, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. If you do support Everton, my sincere apologies. You're going to have to stomach a defeat this week or this weekend. But from then on, please go and do well. All the best, guys. And if we don't get to speak again, don't get to come on our channel for the rest of the year, have yourself and your families a very, very Merry Christmas and all the best to you guys.
Oh, and we definitely don't want you to be going off the channel because we'll be providing content every week. Face, final words before we go.
Um, I want to say go out there, have fun, enjoy your weekend, enjoy with friends if you can. And thanks for always supporting us. Peace.
And that's it. That's it, guys. And thank you all. And we'll see you in the next one. Remember, whatever you do, always have your game on.